This is Ronald Van Ammers. I'm the interviewer. Gail Crosby to my left is the camera person, and we're interviewing Marie Pisano. Marie, could you tell us where you're from?
Mississippi originally.
And when did you come to Los Angeles?
I went to Washington, D.C. in 1952 after graduating from college and stayed there several years, met my ex-husband, went to New York City, transferred, worked for the FBI, and then got married and came out, traveled a while because he was a musician, and then I ended up here.
And did you, when you first came to Los Angeles, where did you first live?
Over on Venice and Van Nuys, almost in an apartment.
Uh-huh.
And then we bought this house in 1960. It was an estate sale. It hadn't been lived in for over 2 years. Some old maid nurse had lived here. She worked at Children's Hospital. She willed the house to her relatives in Maryland. They'd never even seen it, never been out here. So we got an excellent price on it
Good
at
deal.
that time. And I've been here ever since. I was pregnant with my daughter when we moved in. I worked downtown. I used to ride the bus and then walk up the hill here on Lucille
It's quite a hill to walk up.
with my big stomach.
Oh, God. And your parents were,
Mississippi.
they're from Mississippi?
They're dead now.
And they
My mother was a nurse in Mississippi and she died of tuberculosis when I was 11.
Oh. So you lived with your father
Right.
until you
Until I
graduated
came
from
out
high
here.
school? And
No,
that's when you went...
Junior college.
Junior college, and after that, that's when you went to Washington.
Right,
And eventually ended up in Los Angeles with your husband,
right.
and eventually to here on Lucille. And
The house was built in 26 by the old silent screen actor Antonio Marino.
oh, the famous Antonio Marino, the
Yes,
one who's...
yes. And I've never seen him in any movies.
Oh, there is a movie. I don't have the name on my tip of my tongue now, but my wife once, she's a real research. She knows what a movie that he was in, something the Black Lagoon, I think.
Oh, really?
I'll find it for you after.
Yeah, I'd love to
after
see
we're
it.
done. So when your husband was a jazz musician?
No, classical jazz, all kind of things.
And did he work on, where did he work around in Los Angeles?
A lot of places. He worked with a lot of different stars, including Johnny Mathis,
I see.
Tony Bennett, Chico Hamilton, Tijuana Brass.
And so you probably accompanied him sometimes? And
Yeah, but the only thing I know how to play is Jingle Bells. I'm not too musical, and neither are either of my children.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, I traveled with him. Peggy Lee, we were in Vegas with her
Mm-hmm.
a few months, and she gave me the money to gamble in Vegas, and I'm so frugal, I bought a bed for my first child with it.
Good deal. And when you, so since about 1960 you lived in this house, and when you were living here, where did you shop? Did you shop at the
We had
Mayfair?
pennies over in Glendale. We didn't have one down in Hollywood. We had a Broadway store. This is my first ticket I ever got for driving. I had my headlights on one night, close to Christmas. I went over there. And then, of course, they got the Glendale Galleria, but that was way after. But I liked pennies for the kids' clothes and things.
Did you ever go downtown, Bullock's, Robinson? And
Oh, yeah, I love them.
Those
I still
stores,
go
right.
downtown to Bullock sometimes where the building is, because in between the two buildings they have a eating court, and they have some really good pastrami
Heard of
there.
that, yeah. I think I've seen a picture of it too.
Yeah,
And when you did your grocery shopping, where would you
they
go?
used to have a Safeway down where the Union is, down there on Hyperion.
Hyperion,
Right.
right.
That was there. And
Yeah.
then they moved to Virgil. up there by Virgil and Sunset.
I see.
It's Vons now, but it used to be Safeway.
Right, I think that's now an AT&T center or
Is that what it
something.
is? Well, several
Right.
years ago it was a union, because I remember when I
Oh,
was looking for a job, I thought I might like to work that close to home, but didn't like the salary.
that would have been pretty perfect. Did you ever go to the, I guess by the time 1960, that's about the year that the Mayfair was, which is now the Gelson, was built. I think just before that, it was still.
It was after I was here that it was built, because I was
Oh, it
watching
was.
it out the window. I could see it in my view. Ballard's was there. I stopped there a lot.
What was
Ballard's
that?
hardware store.
Oh, right, that's
It
still
was
there,
there
right?
when I moved
Yeah,
here, because that was our Home Depot now, like now.
right.
Can't think of any other stores in particular. There was another market on Sunset where the 99-cent store is now. I don't remember the name of it.
I almost remember the name. Food
Was it?
House. or
Something like
Something
that.
like that, right?
Yeah.
I used to live right on Walton there, and that was the
You'd go
store.
down there too.
Right.
Now the 99-cent store is there, and I used to walk down there all the time before my knees decided they didn't want to go with me a couple of years ago. But that 99-cent store and Trader Joe's are my favorite stores.
Good deal. So you frequently, how do you navigate the parking lot situation at Trader Joe's?
Oh, I just do it. It's part of the hazard of living in the city, I guess.
I see.
My little town I came from was less than 3,000 people. So,
Quite a change.
quite a
right?
change.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a lot bigger now. Somebody told me they even have a Walmart there now, which is coming up in the world, I suppose.
Maybe. And do you have any children?
2.
Did they go to school here?
Yeah, they were born at the Temple Hospital in Kaiser.
Do you remember where they went to elementary school?
Yeah, Mitchell Torino and King and Marshall.
King and Marshall. No?
Well, my daughter did, my son didn't.
The regular Silver Lake suite of schools, right?
Well, we had a choice in this area where I live between this one and Rowena over there. And since the kids down the street were going to Mitchell Torino, and they could all walk together, so we chose Mitchell Torino. It's changed quite a bit.
And the kids walk to school?
Yes, most of the time.
Uh-huh.
So it's less than a mile. It's good for
Right. But these days, it seems like parents drive their kids. no
When I
matter-
was living in Mississippi, I probably walked more than a mile to school, rain or shine.
Yeah, but the stories of parents' childhoods, right? When they walk through the snow to get to school.
Oh, I went through snow. I liked it when we had a snow day and didn't have to go.
And it snowed where?
Oh yeah, it snowed. I was 100 miles from Memphis, Tennessee.
Uh-huh. And do you remember it snowing here in Los Angeles ever?
No, I remember one Christmas and I had a freeze. My pipe broke outside and ran down the street, and it froze in the street, and the city had to come out and chop away at the ice so people could get up the hill.
Right, so the pipes in your house had frozen from the...
The outdoor pipe
Really?
froze and broke. And it was in the middle of the night, and I could hear the water running, and I didn't know how to turn it off outside. And there was a nice guy that lived across the street that was always working with his tools. And we went over and awakened him at 2 or 3 in the morning, and he had this funny thing that you turn the outside water in the street off.
Do you remember what year that was, approximately?
It's got to be over 20-something years ago.
So it's maybe in the early 90s or late
Probably.
80s?
No, I don't
sometime.
think it was the late 80s, probably 90s sometime.
Cold weather.
But we went walking that morning, and people had left their sprinklers on, and it was so pretty with the sun shining on the dewdrops, raindrops on their plants. I have a feeling a lot of plants froze that day,
Right.
but it was awfully pretty.
Let's see, so some other questions I wanted to ask you about. You didn't go to school, but your children went to school here in Silver Lake.
Yeah.
The people, your husband being a musician, you probably had a large circle of friends that were largely musicians, I would take it.
Yes.
Are there any musicians we would know about today that you remember
Oh,
meeting
yes.
in those
Quite a
days?
few, but I've been divorced a long time, so that's part of my past history. Although I'm friends with him because of our children
Good.
and his fifth wife.
Mm-hmm. And when you go out now, do you go out to eat dinner or ever? Or
Quite frequently.
good.
I-
Where do you go?
I like to go over to Burbank to Black Angus and Steakhouse and Mimi's, a lot of different places. And of course, being a senior, I go down to our adult recreation center down there on Riverside.
All right, the GPAC.
GPAC. They have decent meals for $2. You can't knock it. I'm not that particular of a gourmet eater, so.
But you go there for their lunches that they frequently.
I went
They have lunch
yesterday.
every day there. Huh?
No, not every day.
Oh.
Maybe once a week, twice
Oh.
a week. They give a menu so you know what they're going to have, so you pick and choose what you'd like to have.
Do you ever eat any of the eateries here along Sunset?
Yeah, there are a lot of little fun places.
Right.
And there's a new one in Atwater. I can't think of it. It has a French name, Viva something.
Mhm.
You know that one? And then there's another interesting one over there in Atwater off some streets, and they have some new condominiums for over $1 million. Have you seen them?
No.
Wow. I can't believe it. And they're like, it's real modern with all these big pipes hanging down and everything. But it's amazing to me how those houses, when you could get something for 20, 30, 18,000 back 50 years ago, and now the same things are $5,000, $7,000, $100,000.
Well, you've probably seen several real estate booms while you've been living in Silver Lake.
Yes, I was going to mention about, I was trying to remember some of the things about all the different houses. There were about 13 or more have been built on this little small one-way almost street.
And there's still houses being
And
built.
yes, there are
this very
about 3
day,
under
right.
construction now. On one they are remodeling. I don't know how it didn't fall down. It might have been one of the first ones here.
Mhm.
But they sold that one for $400,000 as is, and also one down there was torn down, and that biggest house down the street, 19 something, was built,
Mm.
and it sold for more than $1 million.
I don't understand that our councilman lives on your street,
Yes,
Mr.
Tom
Tom
LaBlanche, and his mother and father used to live down on Panorama Terrace, and his brother used to come over here on his skateboard. He was friends with my daughter.
Skating down Lucille?
Yes,
Wow.
on his skateboard, and now Tom LaBlanche's son skates down the hill every once in a while, and he lives 3 doors down and across the street.
Right.
So it's kind of cute remembering old times when that would be his uncle that used to skate down the street.
Right. Yeah, all in the family.
Yeah.
And
I said that I was checking those houses. 17 around here have been built since I was here.
on just this stretch of Lucille
Right.
between Mitchell
Right.
Tarina and Griffith Park.
And they used to call this Pill Hill because we had several doctors living up here. Then they called it the Swiss Alps because we had a lot of people of different.
Gay persuasion.
Persuasions,
Right.
which were wonderful, wonderful. Everybody's always been nice. I've liked everybody on the street.
Yeah, I think especially in the 60s, Silver Lake is known for its gay history. And I don't know if were you aware of the gayness of Silver Lake, or was that anything that?
Well, I think being married to a musician, you had all kind of friends. So artists, writers, actors, everybody under the sun, blue, white, pink, and purple. So No, it didn't bother me. I've always been very liberal. Couldn't care less, as long as they're good.
Right. They are. And so these days, when you typically eat at home, or you cook for yourself, or do you have a cleaning lady that stays late to cook, or how's it work?
When I lived in Mississippi, everybody in Mississippi had a cleaning lady, and I had one named Lottie Mae Hands, and she got married to a Foot.
To a what?
Lottie Mae Hands Foot.
Oh, yeah.
She came 6 days a week, but no, I don't have anybody now. When the kids were little, I had somebody, but not cooking. As a matter of fact, I had a really nice Oriental lady that lived down in a better house than me, actually. And her husband was a doctor. And she just liked to clean and cook. And she would babysit my kids about once a week where I could go out and shop until I dropped.
You look like you're in very good health. Do you ever, just curious, what sort of arrangements do you have with health facilities? Do you go to Kaiser, or do you have Blue Cross? Or?
I've been with Kaiser for about, my son's 49, he was born there.
Oh,
And
the Kaiser right here
right
on
here.
Sunset.
About less than 2 miles away.
Right.
And I walked over there when I had an operation, but I did not walk home.
I guess not.
I don't think so.
That would have been a lot of uphill too.
Would you believe at this age I had appendicitis operation about 4 or 5 years ago? Back to this area, they called it Pill Hill, and there's several hospitals around here, so a lot of doctors conveniently like to live up here.
Yeah, a lot of there are a lot of hospitals down the hill, down by Kaiser.
It was funny though, when we got this house, it was hard to get a loan. We had to check with about 13 banks because they didn't want to loan a musician, and they wouldn't take my salary. I was working before we moved in, and women in those days weren't counted.
Right.
So we finally had a friend that we remembered that did loans, and that's how we got ours for a higher price than most loans, but we paid it off pretty fast. So
Good work. Speaking of Kaiser and down the hill, you've noticed the transformation of what they call the polka dot plaza, where Griffith Park used to connect to Sunset and
it's
get blocked
beautiful.
up?
They have it painted green, and the green umbrellas, and they have the farmer's market twice a week.
Right. You ever go to the farmers market?
Yes, a lot.
Good.
As a matter of fact, through our adult senior group, we got $20 worth of script to go to farmer's market.
Really?
If you weren't there that day, you didn't get it.
Yeah,
So
it's only on Saturdays and Tuesdays, I think.
Tuesdays, Saturdays.
But do you ever go to the other ones? There are a whole bunch around here.
Yes, in Atwater at the Wells Fargo Bank, and then they have one in Barnsdale Park
Right.
on Wednesday. And then at the post office parking lot, I believe that's Sunday.
Isn't that the Wells Fargo?
The one up in Hollywood,
Oh,
across
that's
from the
post
movies.
office. Right.
That's at the post office.
Right.
But with those coupons, we can only get fresh vegetables and some nuts. Can't buy the pretty flowers.
So, well, you must see a lot of good vegetables then.
I didn't show you my garden up on top of the hill. Got a lot of good stuff up there.
Well, you showed us a lot of your.
Yeah, but
your
you didn't walk
back.
up on the hill.
Oh, and it goes on up,
Yes,
and
Like
that's where
your
you grow
step.
the food part.
right.
I see.
So I don't think I'll starve anytime soon. That I wanted to mention where Antonio Marino had his home, and then the nuns lived there, and they had a lot of girls from broken homes, or they'd been treated poorly or something, and they had a swimming pool up there, and we'd get to go swimming up there. And when the priest came, we'd had to get out because he didn't want anybody swimming in the pool with him. But I used several of those girls to babysit for me, and I made friends with a couple of them. One of them wanted to stay and live with me because they made a move after they were 18,
Oh.
and she wanted to stay and be my live-in, and I said, no way, you're too smart for that. So I had a person that I knew with an employment agency, and we found her a job. She used to write me, so I felt happy that she was on her way to better things in life than being a live-in.
So you were actually in the premises of, I think it's called the Paramour, right?
Well, it used to be the nuns' place.
Right, the convent.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the nuns used to have a party a couple of times a week and invite all the
Really?
neighbors, and they'd cook chicken dinners, and they'd have a band. It's
Oh.
cute seeing the nuns up there dancing with their habits on. So, yeah, we used to go up there lots and swim, and then I'd go up just to talk to them because they were really nice, and
Wow.
check with the girls to come down to my house to babysit or iron or whatever was available to try to help them with spending money.
Do you remember when that got sold, when the nuns and the
Yes, I know we neighbors went downtown to fight it because they wanted to put a hotel,
convent, a spa?
bar,
Right.
spa. And can you imagine this little street and all that noise and traffic coming up that steep, that's one of the steepest hills around. So thank goodness we won. But we went to downtown about 3 different times. So, I
Do
know.
you know what they do there now, or?
Well, she films. As a matter of fact, Elton John was playing there one night for some charity event, and I went up and complained to the officers because it would shake my windows in my house, the sound. It's just right behind me. And so they invited me to come in and partake of all the food and the music, et cetera, et cetera. So it doesn't hurt to complain a little every once in a while.
So you probably must have run into other celebrities living here in Silver Lake and in Los Angeles, such a media place.
Yeah, you do, but you don't pay that much attention to it. I remember some lady lived down the street that was on one of those shows, All in the Family or something. I can't even remember her name, but she invited me in 2 or 3 times when I was walking. Then another one does a lot of commercials. He just moved over on the corner of Rock and Mitchell Torino, and there they put a pool in. You may have noticed it. Yeah, he's an actor, and he's been in several things. And yeah, that was the house that had the snow on the banister. Remember, I told you I went to see an open house, and he didn't live there then, but the people had a picture at that time.
You have a wonderful view here of downtown Los Angeles. I wonder, have you noticed? I see all those skyscrapers there.
Oh, it's downtown Hollywood, not Los Angeles.
Oh, that's downtown Hollywood.
Yeah.
I see. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I didn't
Oh
look.
gosh, and Century City wasn't even there when I moved
That's
here.
right. So you saw that going up.
I saw it all, and
your-
also from here I can see the Getty Museum. And that was a surprise. I couldn't figure out. Way over there, that's got to be, 15, 20 miles away.
Right.
Couldn't figure out what they were building on that big hill and grading, and then started seeing the building, and then I found out it was the Getty. So,
And you have the wonderful view of the Hollywood sign and the planetarium,
yeah.
or the planetarium just in front of the
see
Hollywood
Glendale,
sign.
which I used to could see better, but all those buildings weren't in Glendale way back then either. But I could see down to the end of Mitchell Torino that way.
Mm-hmm.
Might have seen your house since you lived that way.
Oh.
And then this was kind of interesting. There was a rest home right down there where they have condominiums on Griffith Park Boulevard. And one hot day, this old man in his 90s came knocking at my door. And he said he was one of the contractors on this house. And he remembered my barrel ceiling in the living, and it only had 1 bathroom then, and since it built the half bathroom. And he said that one of the contractors fell off by those back steps to the street and landed on his feet, which was interesting.
No kidding.
So anyway, I took him home because I couldn't stand seeing that poor man walk, and they've torn all that down now. I don't know if it was a rest home or if they
It was,
owned
I think, Cedars of Lebanon. It was a rest
something
home.
like
Yeah,
it was a
for
rest
people.
home. So
Right.
then they didn't own it wasn't like condominiums then. Yeah. But he was an interesting guy, and when he came, I didn't know whether to let him in or not. And then when he mentioned the barrel ceiling, I knew he had worked on this house.
So he just strayed out of the rest
He just
home?
walked out of the rest home and came up here, probably remembering old times.
Right.
And he was talking about Antonio Marino building it and building a lot. And then that one of the ladies down at our senior group, Claire, I don't remember her last name. I think you may have interviewed her. She lived up there at the nun's house, I call it. You call it the Paramore now, when the new lady that built it, bought it, named it the Paramore. And her father planted watermelons up here and the big pine trees I had up, but I've since cut them down. One hot day, it was 105, and one big branch off this huge pine tree fell on my house, and it didn't even damage it.
Really? Lucky you.
But I guess the heat and the dryness made the big branch, as big around as I am, made it fall. That was an interesting thing. But we also had parking on both sides of the street when I moved up here. And one of the ladies that lived about 4 houses, well, actually she lived next to Tom LeBlanche. He didn't live there then. But she got a petition so we could only park on one side of the street. Because when you were parked on both sides, fire trucks couldn't get up here.
Right.
So it was good. As a matter of fact, as a side note, I got a ticket last week because I was more than 18 inches away from the curb out here.
In front of your house?
Yeah. I ran home for a quick pick up something, and was only gone out in the house 30 minutes at the most.
You hardly ever see a policeman around here.
No, $68. Isn't that ridiculous?
Yeah.
So now they have all these new stores and Costco and everything over there in Atwater, Los Feliz area. And then the people that lived up there on Mitchell Torino did a movie, and they were friends of mine, and the girl was just graduating high school, and she used to teach my daughter piano lessons. Well, she had a boyfriend, and they were making a movie, Gone in 60 Seconds or something like that. But they were coming down those steps on Landa, and their car got stuck on some of the big, huge cactuses.
Oh.
So that was kind of fun, and I invested in it, and believe you me, I got my investment back, but I didn't get any profit. But I was happy to get the money back. So that was another exciting thing that happened up and down the street. People were watching them with their chasing of the cars.
You always drive these days? Do you ever use public transportation to go anywhere?
Yes, sometimes just for fun of it, because I like to ride the subway. And
You like the subway, yeah.
I'll park over there or park in Kaiser Lot and take the subway downtown and eat or go. I used to belong to a women's athletic club where we would hike every Thursday. And we would plan our hikes, and each person would lead a hike every few months. And I took them all downtown, leading from Vermont on the train to walk all around to see the different historical sites.
Yeah.
And then also that new Catholic church that Cardinal Mahoney was in charge of for a while. But that was a lot of fun. But I've gone, we went down to the library a couple of times downtown to get something that I couldn't get at our libraries. Speaking of the libraries, we've had the Atwater and the Silver Lake and the new one in Los Feliz, 3 new libraries within a couple of miles of us.
Right.
Which is pretty good. We don't have any excuse. Then at our Adult Recreation Center, we have a big library where everybody gives books, and you're free to take any you want and return them or return some more.
These little, what are called little libraries, little stand with people just put books in and let
Right.
people, yeah,
Right.
you see those all over suddenly. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just wonderful.
We probably, are we near the end of this? So I think we're gonna have to chop it off unless you have some additional words of wisdom to the people of Silver
Well,
Lake.
I'll tell you one thing, house has been the best investment I ever made.
Yeah.
The way the prices have gone up.
Yeah, they're back to where they were 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, I feel very fortunate to have all these friends that I've made in this area.
Well, thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I hope that this will be useful.
We'll see. I'm sure that they're all useful. And
Well, one last thing, somebody wrote a book about all the steps in Silver Lake in different areas, and a man lectured to us one time, and I bought his book as a matter of fact. But I have 44 steps going up to my house, but once I'm up here, I'm on one level. But there are about 250 or more down there at Landa, I think.
have you ever taken the land
Lots
stair?
of times.
Oh.
When I walked, I went everywhere.
The other side too, the one that goes down to Silver Lake? Yeah.
Yeah, all around.
You're a real walker.
But you know, I've never walked up all those steps on Mitchell Torino, across the street from Sunset.
Right.
Have you ever been up those?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never did.
It's 2 levels. You go up and you think you're almost there, and then there's a street, then there's another stairway.
And then those stairways from the piano. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.